Hello there. Greetings and salutations. We are live. Yes, we are. We're doing it again. A little bit different setup this time, gang. We have a topic this time around, too, which folks voted on in the YouTube community section. I did a poll, and we're going to be talking about resurrecting junk hardware with Linux. So, what I'm going to do here is make the chat as big as I possibly can, so that I'll be able to see it a lot better. Hi, I see some folks. There's Tim. How you doing? Yeah, got a little bit of a different setup this time around. I'm using a different computer. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to be. You're still going to see a lot of my forehead. Let's put it that way, because of the way this is set up. I had this crazy idea that I would bring up the chat room and I would put it on a smaller computer and be able to hold it like this right in front of me, like that. And that ain't going to work. So you guys are going to have to put up with me squinting at the chat and that sort of thing. John, are you here yet, sir? Looking for John Spoonamore. Are you here, Mr. Spoonamore? Let's see if I can make this even bigger. Yes. Well, hello to you too. From Normandy? Norway, I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you for being here. We're not even officially started yet, gang. We're going to actually start the show here in about 10 minutes. And then we will get into doing our thing. Maybe put this down a little bit. Yes. So, Norway, cool. People are watching in Norway. What time is it in Norway? Okay. Is the picture straight or am I crooked? Well, it's slightly sideways. Hi, Larry. How you doing? Yeah. Hello, Middle East. Wow, people from all around the world. People from all around the world are here. This is so cool. Hi, Bob. How you doing? He said the geezers of the world. Thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. Hello, Arizona. How you doing, Ezra? It's nice to see you there, buddy. Glad you could catch me live as well, sir. Good to see you're doing good. Everybody's stuck in the house going absolutely crazy. Okay. Hello, Southern Indiana. How you doing? Nice to see you. Oh, if my tongue looks purple, I'm drinking red stuff. This is like this bug juice that my daughter makes. So I'm probably going to have a purple mouth through this entire thing. I didn't even think about that. Should have just drank coffee. People are going to think, well, what's the matter? You look strange. So I'm drinking bug juice. Since 2014? That's what Tim O says. He's been watching since 2014. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What D is perfect for me? You know what? I just tell everybody, if you want something lightweight, go with Ubuntu Mate these days. I'm like Alan Pope, man. I'm not going to talk about anything else but Ubuntu from now on. Did you see that little fracas that came up because he was in this interview on Linux for Everyone? Alan Pope was, and he said, if you want Linux to succeed, then we should stop talking about everything else but Ubuntu. Now, they took it out of context, and some people really blew it up. But I posted it on my Facebook page that we shouldn't talk about anything but Ubuntu. Man, it's been crazy, crazy, crazy this week. Stuck in the house, going insane. Hey, everybody that's coming on, thank you so much. We're going to get started here in just a few minutes. Hi, Tim. Linux City, hello. Yes, Ubuntu 2004 is very nice. Very nice indeed. Hello, Paul. This is a different machine than I used the last live stream. This is the Asus, and it's running Ubuntu 1804, and I'm using it because I can move it around, and I'm actually on Ethernet this time around, so I think it's going to be a bit of a smoother experience, hopefully. And looking, we're going to have a moderator this time around in the chat room as well, if he ever bothers to show up. John, are you here? Did I miss you going by? Because I need to set you as moderator, buddy. If you are here. Hello, Linux Quest. Hello, Paul. So we'll get officially underway here in just a few moments. Looking at the time. A couple more minutes. We'll hang out and wait. Hello, Alan. Not Alan Pope. In Spain. Nice to have you here. People here from Spain. It's my face. Yes, I'm here. You get to see my... This is the second time around we've done this. This is the, if you guys didn't catch the first one, we did one last weekend, and I didn't promote it, and a whole bunch of people showed up, which was absolutely amazing. This one I actually promoted. Hello, John. Hang on, buddy. I'm going to set you up. So let's see. John is going to, not going to put you in timeout. You are now a moderator. Okay, so we have a moderator this time around, ladies and gentlemen, and he's been given strict instructions that if you make jokes about my appearance, he is going to ban you. Do you understand? John Spoonamore is our moderator this time around, and John is one of the most enthusiastic members of the Easy Linux community. He is always there on the Facebook page. He's always talking to us. Hello. I'm worldwide. Well, thank you, Bruce. I appreciate that. It's awesome. Awesome. Truthfully, we're doing it. I could not believe the response from the last one. The last one that we did, simply because of the fact that I did not promote it at all. This one's been promoted, and we actually have a subject. And for those of you who are just joining us, the subject this time around is that we are going to talk about resurrecting junk hardware with Linux. That was a topic that was chosen. I think I put in general Linux Q&A. The other one was, I don't remember what the other one was. And then the last one that I put was resurrecting, desktop Linux or something. I don't remember what it was. Anyway, this is the one you guys chose. You chose this time around. Hello from Britain. Nice to see you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for hanging out. Somebody says I'm an inspiration. Well, thank you very much. Hi there to you too. Last time around when we did this, you guys might have seen, for those of you who were here last time, CyberWeb Solutions. That's Jeremy O'Connell, the guy who does our web pages. He was here, and I didn't see him in here. Now Jeremy likes to stir up the crap, John, so don't ban him. That wouldn't go over so big. He's got he can get into all the servers, and he'll just bump us right off. We'll just disappear. Yes, John's in Kentucky. So, man, okay, we're getting there. Let's see, my things. Oh man, we already have 126 people here. That is amazing. Thank you to all of you who have showed up. That is just absolutely amazing. So, I was really surprised, gang, the last time that we did this. I went back and I read the chat room because I had missed a whole lot of it the first time around, to tell you the truth. And most everybody was really nice, which is really nice. And I've had some pretty nice comments. Only a couple of people were nasty, and you know how they are. So we just get, yes, we're streaming. This is actually the second time I've done this. So thank you for being here. I certainly do appreciate it. So yeah, like I said, we do have a topic this time around. Anybody who just clicked on, we're talking about resurrecting hardware with Linux and old hardware, junk hardware. It's one of the nice things about Linux is the fact that it will run on stuff that if you try and run modern Windows on, modern Windows either will not run correctly or it will not run at all. You know what I mean? And let's see. Where are all the we got 123 likes already on this? Oh, that's awesome. And so anyway, that's kind of the general thing. And we wanted to talk about that, I really don't have anything prepared other than just what I usually tell other people. It's an absolute fact. You can take a computer and that would ordinarily you'd probably just throw away, and then you can put Linux on it, and all of a sudden it comes to life. It's an amazing thing. A long time ago, when I first started doing the YouTube channel, for a little while there, I had this old E-machine that I resurrected, and this thing was, man, it was a joke. It had a 40 gigabyte hard drive in it, I think, and it was an IDE drive, but the motherboard could take SATA. I could only get 2 gigabytes of RAM on it. It had like 128 megabytes of Intel memory, and it was 64 and 64 bit processor, though, like a single core Celeron. And I actually made YouTube videos on that using the simple screen recorder for a long time. And I did it to prove a point, because you can do that sort of thing, right? And it's still true. If you find some old machine, if you can cobble them together, then you can usually make it run. Absolutely. Watching you in from Resurrected Laptop. Yes, absolutely. Hi, how you doing? Nice to see you, Art. Thanks for hanging around. And so I get these things from people all the time that tell me, well, I had this old Windows 8, Windows 7 laptop, and I loaded Linux on it, and now I can do things with it, which is absolutely amazing. And so that's very cool. I hear that from people all the time. People ask me sometimes, they'll say, will Linux work on this machine? And the answer to that question is, I don't know. Linux works on most everything these days. No problems whatsoever. But you have to still try it out, because you might win the lottery and get that one little piece of hardware that'll give you some grief. But if it's like a pretty standard machine, if it's an old Dell or HP or something like that, it's going to work just fine. It's out of the box. A lot of the Dell machines, as long as they don't have any, if they have Intel graphics, then there's no drivers at all. It's usually just a video card if you have one there. So I am getting to the place now where I don't think 32-bit machines are the way to go anymore, unless you don't want to put a desktop on it and you want to use it as a server, pretty much. Hold on. Somebody hailed me in there. Oh, okay. So I'm the guy that got you started with Linux. I'm sorry, or, glad that worked out for you. So how many of you guys that are already here in the chat room can just put up something like yes? How many of you are running on old junky cobbled together hardware? Not something you bought new, but something that you maybe got secondhand, and then you threw Linux on it and found out that we could work with it. Just make it real simple, like yes, don't. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, you guys are out there. 6, 7, 8, 9. You see, okay, yeah. See, now this is the thing. This is there's 10. All right, look, it just keeps on going. Here's somebody else. Here's somebody else. See, that's one of the things I keep trying to kind of whisper in the ears of the people who maintain like Ubuntu and Linux Mint and other distributions, is that don't be too keen on making them super hot on the latest hardware, gang, because one of the big attractions is the fact that you can have an old 4 gigabyte machine. See, the S's just keep going, and you can still do stuff with Linux. It's a great thing that Ubuntu did, where they had that survey, and they had it where you could, they had a survey about the hardware that you'd use. You just click send the anonymous report in, and then they released the statistics when they came out with Ubuntu 18.04. And a lot of folks out there, 4 to 8 megabytes or gigabytes rather of RAM, and really kind of low end systems. That's what people are using. And the elitists guys, the guys that are always talking about, well, I've got 64 gigabytes of RAM, and I've got 3 NVMe drives and a SAN hooked up to the back, and it's water cooled and it has a swimming pool. Those guys, they'll make you think, well, if you don't have anything, if you have anything less than 16 gigabytes of RAM, you just won't be able to get along in the world. Well, that's absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. And it's amazing. People just get these junk machines and put them together, and boom, they're back in business. Back in business for sure. So let's see here. Just trying to see if there's anything interesting going by in the chat room. You guys are kind of just talking amongst yourselves. Another question that I get a lot about resurrecting junk hardware is what distribution to use. And I'm very prejudiced these days, because I'll immediately tell you Ubuntu or Ubuntu Mate, the Mate or Mate desktop, whatever you want to call it. I call it Mate. And that seems to work really, really well on low resource hardware. For instance, my mother is running a Dell Optiplex machine that somebody actually just gave to me. And the machine came from a pallet of corporate machines. And when it showed up, it had no memory in it. And the guy said, do you want this? And he said, yeah. And I said, yeah. And he sent it to me. So I had to provide memory. Well, I looked around and all I had was 2 gigabyte chips. The machine can take 8. So I threw it in there. So this thing's got it's an i5 processor, and it's got 4 gigabytes of RAM in it. And it's got the hard drive is, I'm trying to remember what's in it. It's a 320. It's an old, it's one of those high-end drives made for 24-hour surveillance video that I actually took out of a DVR. So you want to talk about cobbling things together. I had DirecTV for a while, and I took when I dropped the service, I said, do you want the box back? And they said, no, you can take it to the recycler. And I said, okay, well, that means I can tear it apart, right? And they said, yes. So I opened it up and got the drive out of it. And it was really nice, desktop size hard drive in this DVR. And I took it and put it in my mom's computer, and it's been running in her computer for now like 2 years. But she runs Ubuntu Mate, and she can, and with 4 gigabytes of RAM, and no, she's not playing games on it. She has it does have an NVIDIA card on it, so it's got outboard graphics, and that thing can do it. It can happen. You know what I mean? It can do it. So yeah, the that's pretty much how all of these computers have come to me, is secondhand. One of the best places that you can find computers is on eBay. Look for corporate leases that are up, refurbished machines that come out of offices. A lot of Dell Octopuxes, a lot of HPs. They all run Linux quite well. Laptops, I really like EliteBooks if you can find them. They're a little long in the tooth now, HP EliteBooks, but they're pretty cool. Dell Studio machines are good. Of course, IBM ThinkPads. They're renowned for Linux, Lenovo ThinkPads. So there's a lot of good machines out there. And a big secondhand market, too. There's a ton of great machines that are on eBay that you can get. And I strongly, I'm kind of thinking about buying a new machine because I talked about that last time around, but then I'm thinking maybe I'll do secondhand. So we'll see somewhere down the road here. Because eventually the junk machines, they get too junky and you have to move on. You got to kind of remember you get what you pay for. Absolutely. I'm just watching the chat room as it goes by. So do you have any questions? Keep them very short, please. Keep them down to about a sentence if you can. Hello, Kylie Holmes. How you doing? Nice to see you. Thank you for hanging out. I certainly do appreciate it. Hold on just a second, gang. Apologize for the dead air, but I'm just reading what you all are talking about in the chat room. Not much to talk about right now. Somebody asked any new script tutorials. I don't have a great deal to talk about right now, to tell you the truth, because everything is just kind of working and doing what it's got to do, and I haven't had to come up with anything new in quite some time. I haven't had to do much scripting as it is. I did release a whole bunch of stuff at the beginning of the year and put that on the Easy Linux page. So if you go to easylinux.com and click on the bash script page and you scroll almost to the bottom, then you are going to see that I have released a whole bunch of them. Let's see. It is hard to run a stream and watch the chat at the same time. Yes, it is. It's okay though. I mean, this is I can find that, I can do that. Any thought on Ubuntu's future? Is that if that's directed to me? I can tell you, I think that they're kicking butt. They just keep on improving the product. I'm running 2004 and we're a month away from the release date, and it's relatively stable. They have a few little bugaboos to work with that need to get worked out. There's a little bit of instability on the desktop right now with the GNOME desktop. At least I've seen that. And it hasn't been terrible, but it's still got it's a little rocky. I can tell you that right now. It's just they have a little more work to do. Everything that I have found that I thought was a bug, I went and looked up and somebody's already reported it. So they're on top of it. They're going to get, by the time 2004 comes along, I think it's going to be really, really slick and it's going to work really, really well. Let's see. What ran me away from Linux Mint? Feature creep, mainly. No, I started using Ubuntu when 2004 came along because it was just so stable. Everywhere that I install it, it won't crash. Not 2004, 1804. I think I was using Mint up to that point, and then I switched over to the vanilla GNOME Ubuntu 1804 experience. And when I did, I just can't crash it on my hardware. It just doesn't freeze. It doesn't stop. It keeps going. I have up times that are like days at a stretch. Whereas with the Cinnamon desktop, they were going through a period around that time where it would do that lovely thing where it would lock up, and then Cinnamon would say, Cinnamon has crashed, falling back to whatever they call it, fallback mode, and it looks like the Mate desktop and all that other stuff. And it kept happening to me, and I kept going with Ubuntu and Ubuntu Mate, and I hadn't had any problems with it. So that's one of the things. And then I had some. I mentioned last time around, or actually I mentioned in the video I did where I posted how to do the OEM install. I talked about that. It was LMDE4. That video I just posted. When they were doing the beta testing for LMDE3, I was very much involved with that. And I found some bugs. And I reported those bugs and found fixes for those bugs. And they said, thank you very much. And all right, glad you did that and everything. And then what happened was that I got into the release when it came out. And it was still there. I was like, huh? I was like, why didn't you take the bugs out? I mean, I don't get it. And so anyway, there's just a lot of little things. I'm not saying that Linux Mint is a bad distribution of Linux. It certainly is not. But Ubuntu seems to be serving me quite well right now. And, I think that I think Linux Mint is still a great place for people to start out. Although I have to admit that with 19.3, they added some stuff going on with that like system report tool and stuff like that they have in there that I'm not real thrilled about that. I think that's the feature creep I was talking about earlier. So all in all, I think they do a great job, but just a few little things. You know what I mean? And that's why you ran Debian. So anyway, trying to think if there's anything else about resurrecting old hardware. My brother just bought a used Octiplex. This is one of those machines, corporate machines, and we installed Ubuntu Mate on that machine. He has been using that on a couple of his other computers. Boy, that went well. It was just slick. Unbelievable. Now, he had been running a Dell Dimension 32-bit machine for a long time. And I finally told him, I said, hey, it's time for that to go. You need to get rid of the 32-bit monster. And he had an all-in-one HP for a little while, but that machine had major issues. So what do I think of XFCE? Well, I just did a video about that. And I think XFCE is awesome. I just lean a little bit more toward the Ubuntu Mate distribution because they do a lot of tweaking in there. And it's extremely stable. Nothing wrong with Xubuntu or Xubuntu, whatever you want to call that. Either one of those distributions are just awesome for these older machines. And just absolutely. If you have an NVIDIA card, you're going to have to turn on compositing for the NVIDIA card to avoid screen tearing with either one of those desktops. And you can look that up online, screen tearing fix for NVIDIA card with XFCE. And if you find that, then what you can do, it's just one command. You add it to the startup. And what it does is it turns on the internal compositor inside the NVIDIA card. And that gets rid of your screen tearing issue. And yes, you can turn on the VSync and all that stuff in XFCE, but it doesn't help with things like playing videos full screen. And so therefore that is something that you're just absolutely going to have to do for sure. For sure. So I did have a little show and tell, a computer that I've not shown before. We're talking about resurrecting old hardware. This is what is in the thumbnail for this video. And this is an Asus, one of those little E PCs with two E's, EE PC. And it has, it's an Atom processor, 2-core, 64-bit, has 2 gigabytes of RAM in it. It is running Ubuntu Mate. And this is mostly useless. Because it's right at the minimum requirements. So if you open like a web browser and something like that, then it gets itself pretty messed up. But this was a big project. Getting the sound to work with in these with Ubuntu or any Linux distribution is a pain in the. And it's actually a script that runs to turn the sound on in the ALSA mixer when this boots up. So I doubt very seriously whether I'm going to be able to upgrade this machine. It runs Ubuntu 18.04 right now, and that's probably what it's going to do. And when 18.04 is done, it'll get retired. I had this idea of using this to read comments. I was going to put it like right here, just set it right here, and put the comment screen in its own screen here in the thing, and the chat rather. And I was going to be like all slick and look down and be like, oh, I see your. No, too slow. Can't keep up. Can't do it. It didn't want to do that at all. I brought that in here just to show that that's one of the machines. This was also one that was just sent to me. People always sending me hardware, and you know what I use it for? It's a server. It's an online backup. What I do is just most of the time it's off and shut down, and I'll fire it up like once every couple of weeks and sync all of my personal files to it. And then that way, if one of these machines dies, if the machine that has all my files on it dies, I've got that. So it's kind of like a offline backup. Dual monitors. Have I thought about dual monitors? I thought about it really hard. As a matter of fact, I was going to do that. And then I ordered a 25-foot Ethernet cable. And the thing is that it ain't going to get here to the middle of April because Amazon is not shipping Prime for things like that right now. So I thought when I ordered it, it was going to be here in like 2 days, but no. So that's a problem. Absolutely. When I get the Ethernet cable, I'll be able to, because the last time I watched the stream, the last time that I did this, and there was some breakup in the audio, and there's a little bit of breakup where it dropped, and that's just Wi-Fi being Wi-Fi. So this time around, if there's any, this is Ethernet. We're Ethernetted in. I'm sitting on the couch, and the router is like right there because it's a 6-foot cable. That's how I'm doing this. That is how I'm doing this. Yeah, somebody said they bought their Dell laptop for $24. Dude, eBay is the way to go. The only thing is be very wary. Well, I just ordered one. My brother just said, that's my brother there, David. He just said that he ordered with, he's got a long Ethernet cable. I just ordered one. It'll be here. We're fine. I can keep doing this. It's working fine. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, does it look and sound okay to you guys? I mean, I did a test earlier with this setup, and I thought it went really well. Yeah, I got a thumbs up. Okay, well, that's good. Using the microphone in the computer, too, to do it. I don't have the other microphones hooked up or anything. I was just said, I'm just going to turn it on and see what this does here. This is the computer that I'm doing the stream on, is that Asus with the i7 desktop processor and 16 gigabytes of RAM and stuff. I kicked my son off of it, and I said, okay, you're going to have to go somewhere else and not play games right now because I'm going to be on the computer. And if you don't like that, well, it's like, no, Dad's taking over for a little while. Well, somebody said working good. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. So do you think we ought to try and make this like a weekly thing? I'm considering it. The only problem is that I'm in a house full of people right now. And like today, I got real lucky. I got to kick everybody out. Cindy went to her mom's to take her some supplies. And Luke is in his room with his phone. And Emily went to her boyfriend's house. So, you know, if I can kind of make this work, maybe we'll do this on a regular basis. it depends on, what you guys, the feedback. By the way, I said this in the beginning of the video, but you know how these are live, so I got to repeat myself several times. People come and go, which is perfectly all right. I do the same thing with live streams all the time. I'll listen to a little bit of it and I'll catch the video later. I know they'll post videos. That's cool. The response from last week's was unbelievable and very much appreciated. I just turned on a stream and started talking. There was no preparation for that at all. I did not expect the views that got, nor the nice comments. Everybody was really nice, or at least most everybody. There were a couple of people who said something nasty. Somebody posted a really nasty comment this morning. You might have noticed that on all of my social media outlets, I posted that thing where I said, if you find it necessary to start a comment with no offense, you need to stop right there, because what you're probably getting ready to do is offend somebody, and you need to just back away and shut them up and mind your own business. I posted that everywhere because somebody posted a comment that started out that way, but really, wow, man, weekly is good. But David, you would say that. My brother is addicted to live streams. He watches them all the time on all kinds of subjects. So add another to the list. Nothing wrong with that. Better than what's on TV mostly. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, since we're dedicating this to the idea of resurrecting junk hardware, is a pet peeve of mine, and that is that you'll see people on eBay who are refurbishing computers, which I think is fantastic. And then they'll say, comes with Linux Mint or Ubuntu installed. And then what they will do is instead of doing an OEM install where you get the computer that you log it on and create your own account, they will do this thing where they do a dummy account. And they'll make the username user and like the password. Don't do that. I just posted a video walking through the steps of doing an OEM install with Linux Mint. There are a lot of reasons why that is not a cool idea. Mainly because if they want to change that name or change that username later, yes, use the OEM install, because in Linux it's difficult to change that name later. You can create another account, but then that changes the user number. So the backups now, you may have a problem where it says, well, you're not the same person. I don't have the permission to restore this. And it's a mess. Use OEM installs. I have 3 videos on this channel about OEM installs. There's one that shows how to do it with Ubuntu 16.04, Linux Mint 18.04, and I just did Linux Mint 19.3. So it's just that's the way to do that. So if you know anybody who's refurbishing, just tell them about that. Turn them on to that idea, man, because because I think, well, if I buy a computer anyway, I don't even boot into whatever's on it. I put a USB stick or a DVD in it immediately and boot off of whatever I want it to be and wipe it out, which is just a lovely thing to do. Well, you could do change own, but boy, that's really hard to do on a whole home directory's worth of stuff. And if you do that, you'll screw up the permissions in some of the, if you did like a full restore, you would screw up some of the permissions in the settings files. And some of those are really customized. So it is just better to start out with, let them create their own user account. Basically, that's what needs to happen. Or let them install it themselves. Don't be like, oh, never mind. I'm not going to say that. Yes, I'm drinking red bug juice. Mm. It's this fruit punch. So therefore, I probably have a purple tongue and a purple mouth and purple lips. And if that's the case, well, that's why. Didn't think about that. I should have been drinking coffee or something before I started this thing. Somebody says here they're using a 15-year-old Sony laptop and it works great. Good for you. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, just blow everything off. Don't even. You know what's really fun? I got an HP G6 laptop, and it came loaded with Windows 10 on it. And I never even booted it to Windows 10. Now it's not I wouldn't buy a new machine that had Windows on. I would never pay the Windows license. But this was a used machine and somebody actually just kind of gave it to me. And it had Windows 10 loaded on it that had never been activated. It never was. I just blew it off. Bye. See you later. It's always a fun thing. I don't know about you, but I love blowing out Windows installations. Old or new, it doesn't matter. Just you put that. Yes, wipe the disk. Thank you. Gone. We'll start with some sanity. Well, we're going to put something on that isn't. Uh-oh. So anyhow, let's see. Is there anything else? I mean, questions about computers, junk hardware, Linux in general? What the hell? We covered the topic, right? We can sit here and talk about other things. Let's see. Yeah, we kind of covered the topic in the first half hour. Uh-oh, I saw a question. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm scanning back up. I change it to ext4, yes, usually. That's what I use. Is Jeremy here? Send up a smoke signal if you're here, Jeremy. Because I would like to set you as a moderator. No, don't. I'm sorry, not the right Jeremy, but thank you. Oh, my goodness. Sorry about that, Jeremy. The other Jeremy, not the one I was talking to. If anybody sees looking for cyber web solutions, if you see that pop up, yell. Thoughts on IoT devices? I ignore them as much as possible. I think a lot of them are silly. Just clogs up the internet with garbage traffic that we don't need, and they're all insecure. And it's like my ISP also wants to sell me automation for my house, and I just laugh. If you can access it from your phone, whatever it is, if you can access it from your phone, somebody else can hack into it, and they can access it, and then they can get in if they want to. I don't need that kind of risk. You know what? I don't mind walking over to the wall and flipping a switch. I just don't. It's like I saw a story not too long ago about the police stopping some car, like it had gotten stolen or something like that. I'll never forget it. There's this guy in the United States. He's a bike builder. He had a TV show for a while named Jesse James. And he said 20 years ago, I don't like computers in cars because pretty soon you're going to be on the cloverleaf somewhere and they're just going to be able to stop you. Well, guess what? If the cops can do that when the car gets stolen, then the bad guys can do that when they want to get to you. So it always cuts both ways. All this convenience and hooking it up to the internet, people think, oh, it's really gimmicky anyway. Does anybody really, really, really need a crock pot that gets on the internet? I mean, honestly, I don't. I just don't. And then, somebody gets on there and then they can island hop from that device into all your other stuff in your house, No, thank you. So yeah, I'm not big on that. And as more people get bit by this technology, you'll see the fad kind of go down. You'll see that happen. They'll either start building better, more secure devices that make more sense, or the technology people will kind of be like, no thanks. You know, that's the way that'll go. That's what I think is going to happen. So, I have a smart TV. I don't know, you guys that follow the channel closely, you know, it was a running joke for a long time that I had this television, this old Emerson television from 2004 in my living room, and I did. And then the joke got really old, and I was like, okay. So I went out and bought a Sharp television with Roku built into it because I was going to get a TV and hook a Roku box up to it anyway. This was on sale, and I thought it was great. So I've got this smart TV, and that's how I watch YouTube videos these days, and Netflix, and we watch Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and all this other stuff on this thing. It is a smart ass TV too. It's like if you hit the cable box and the box isn't on, it goes, no signal. Is it on? I'm like, geez, I don't know. Let me go look. Duh. So I finally did upgrade for those of you who have followed the channel real closely. Yeah, somebody just said here, got a Sharp with a Roku. Yeah, they're not bad. What are the KDE project for TVs? No, I didn't, but that is interesting. You can no longer buy a dumb TV. I haven't looked. I just figured if I was going to buy a TV that it would be able to do all this stupid stuff. And actually, it's awesome. I've enjoyed it. It was a good. I got it on sale. I got a really good deal on a 55-inch television, and it was like under $500. And the thing is awesome. 4K. Of course, I can't see the damn 4K. It doesn't matter. See it if I get up on it, but it's still nice. Now, somebody said, I don't know whether that's considered to be low end, but from where I was coming from, that's pretty good. The old Emerson from 2004. I had bought, this isn't about Linux, it's just about TVs and electronics. I used to live in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and up there in Harrisonburg, we have Crutchfield, which is a electronics outlet store. You guys might have heard of Crutchfield, the Crutchfield catalog, right? And they have an outlet store up there. And I went in there this what year would this been? 2006. And they had like the last CRT high definition television made. And it was I can't remember whether it was a Toshiba or a Hitachi. I think it was a Toshiba. And this thing was huge. It was one of them great big huge boxes, and they were selling it for like $400, which was like, I don't know, that was like 30% of the original price. So I said, yeah, I want that. And I bought it, and they came and set it up at the house. And I realized after I got it, I said, I will never move that television again. There's no way. It weighed 300 pounds. I couldn't physically move it. Gorgeous picture, wonderful contrast, great sound built into that TV. Had a compressor on the sound. You could set the dynamic range. Oh, it was gorgeous. So moved out of Harrisonburg, brought it down here where I'm living now, and set it up. And a couple years into being here, we had this really bad thunderstorm roll through. It was a lightning storm, and it wasn't even raining, but it was just like lightning every 10 seconds or something like that. Lightning hit the house and blew up every piece of electronics in the house, and that television was gone. I had to hire somebody to come and carry it out and put it on the curb. Then the city wouldn't pick it up. And then they came by and robbed all the copper out of it and took the and they left the guts laying on my front lawn. I thought, my God. So that's how I ended up using the 2004 TV. I had to call the city to go get that thing. So unfortunately it was nice while it lasted, but boy, I said after that one, I said I will never buy one like that again. I was like, I was, like I said, I was done with CRTs at that point. Bye-bye. See you later. So yeah, not Linux, but it was funny. Got rid of that damn thing. So any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Tag me if you want to ask me a question. What about System 76? They're expensive. Good book to get started on. Hold on, I lost you. I'll get you back. I'm just scanning down through here and Linux building. How Linux works. That's the name of the book. No Starch Press. Can't remember the name of the author. Good place to start. It teaches you the basics of how it works, and there's a lot of reference in there to other things. Top 3 ways. Top 3 ways to revive old PCs. Well, actually, the best way is just get a hold of it. It's a procedure. Get a hold of it. Clean it out, first of all. If it's not one that comes to you refurbed and somebody's already done this, it's actually really easy to do. What you can do is vacuum the machine out, get some thermal paste and remove the processor and scrape the old off and put the new in and put that back down in and blow it out with compressed air, get all the dirt out of it. They usually come that way. And then the next thing that you want to do, I'm assuming that the machine actually works and that it's worth doing, is that you want to stuff it with as much memory as you can get in the machine. Look up the motherboard, find out how much memory it'll take, buy the memory. It's cheap, dude. For $50, you can probably load one of these machines up to the max. Crucial Memory is one of my favorites to go to because they have everything. They're very knowledgeable. They're easy to work with. And put as much memory as you can in the machine. Some of these old motherboards only take 2 or 3 gigabytes of memory. Sometimes you will run into a situation where they'll say, oh, this machine can take up to 24 gigabytes of memory, but you'll need to upgrade the power supply. So in that case, you don't need to do that. Just look all that particular stuff up. It's still online. And then once you do that, load it up with Linux and you'd be amazed what you can do with them. They're just absolutely, absolutely amazing. Let's see. Going back up here. Let's see. Best Linux program to remove microphone noise. I don't really know. I don't use that stuff. I don't do it myself. You're talking about live as it goes. I don't do it. So I really can't answer that question. You know who can answer that question? Is Matt Hartley, because he's into processing. Everything he posts, he uses some processing tools in the background. And I just don't. I like to keep things very simple. I have this thing, I don't like complexity. And so I'm going to, if I can just, like this stream right here, I didn't do anything with the audio. I'm just using the microphone in the computer and we're just talking. It's good enough. It'll do the job, But yeah, that's basically it. It's just that little procedure. Get the old machine, check it out, make sure everything works. I do have kind of a rule that beyond putting memory in them, I don't really, you can start chasing parts and you can start upgrading video cards and stuff like that. But when you're dealing with machines that are probably worth $50 to $100 anyway and have a lot of time on them, I don't like to mess with them too much. I just don't. Now, if you have a pile of junk and you just want to use junk parts, go for it. Have fun. Build. But if it's something that you need to use and you're not one of those people that hoards a lot of junk parts, then, just the minimum, just the memory, and make sure everything's working and go from there. And if you can get use out of the machine, that's great. Power supplies, too, are cheap for a lot of these older machines. And they're usually the first thing to go. So if you are using older hardware that you really need to have it be reliable, then I would suggest that you do that. Replace the power supply if you can. Does Ubuntu recognize Blu-ray players? I don't know. Does it? I don't use Blu-ray. What are my thoughts on running Linux on ThinkPad? I think that that's one of the best machines that you can use. I personally do not have one. Yes, it does. Thank you for answering that. I don't use Blu-ray. So yes, it will recognize Blu-ray. Now, I don't know how much functionality you get. I don't even play DVDs on computers. So I just don't. I have a DVD player hooked up to my television and a VCR. And because I don't throw anything away, that's why. So if I want to play a DVD, I play it on the big screen. I don't mess around with that. Sometimes burn DVDs every now and again. Let's see. Agreed. Thanks. Yeah. They're very good to work with Linux. I don't own one. I've never had one. But they're like, you take Alan Pope, for instance, who is works for Ubuntu, has been doing a lot of stuff in the community lately. He did a whole thing about ThinkPads. He loves them. He collects them. He's got stacks of them. And I agree with Alan Pope that we shouldn't talk about any other distribution but Ubuntu from now on. I said that earlier in the video. But, of course, we have a whole different crowd now. That's the way this does, is it changes. Let's see. What's the least Linux compatible hardware in your opinion? Sony. Not good. Vios. Sony Vios don't work well with Linux. Really cheap junk, off-the-shelf, low-end computers these days sometimes can be difficult to get Linux going on because they're not designed to run anything but what they come with. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. The best luck that I have had, honestly, is Dell. I have not had any Dell computers that came with anything in them that didn't work. I did have a Dell Studio laptop that, I still have it actually. It's at my mom's. It's a backup machine right now. But it has Wi-Fi in it that needs drivers. So you have to install whatever you install on it with Ethernet, and then you can install the drivers, and then you get Wi-Fi functionality. Other than that, Dell has always worked pretty much out of the box for me. I don't have a problem with it. Asus is good. Asus is awesome. I got two of them. Used to have an Acer years ago. As a matter of fact, the first full-time Linux computer that I ever had was an Acer. It was an Acer laptop with one of those. I cannot remember what it's called now. It was AMD's version of the Atom. I don't remember what they called that. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Little 2-core processor. That was this. This is probably about 10 years ago, and that machine ran Ubuntu 12.04, and it actually did it really, really well. And it was all AMD, ATI graphics. It all just worked. No, that Athlon was actually the nice processors. This was can't remember what they were called. It was the opposite of an Atom. It was the opposite number of a Intel Atom. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're long since gone now. Anyway, long since gone. Dual core, yeah. 64-bit dual core machine. Cannot remember how. The machine physically fell apart. That's why I stopped using it. And I gave it to a kid in the neighborhood. And I said, you can, do whatever you want to with it. Phantom, I think that was it. Yeah. That sounds really familiar. Yeah. Sempron? I don't know. That's Intel, isn't it? I don't know. I don't remember. You might have told me the right thing, and I couldn't tell you if it was right or not. By the way, the thing about Alan Pope, I mentioned, hello, DOS boss. The thing about Alan Pope saying that is go back and actually watch. It's on Linux for Everyone. Do a search for that on YouTube and just look up Alan Pope's really good talk. They talked about a lot of different things. That was good Linux programming, guys. I was like, yeah. Somebody's actually talking about Linux. Not about Windows and Mac, and we got into that last week. I won't start that. Pink bug juice. Peter Griffin? Yeah, I've just started really checking that out at Linux for Everyone. I just subscribed to it. It slipped under my radar, and just seems to be really straightforward. I don't get mad and start wanting to throw things at the screen, so that's what I consider to be a good podcast or a YouTube to watch. Some people make me mad, and I want to hurt them. I like, and then again, there are some people that I watch because I disagree with them, which is kind of fun. Let's see. I watch a lot of people because I disagree with them. I find that I learn things from people like that. You know that? If I watched a podcast where everything that the guy said, yep, I said, yep, you're right. I get bored after a while. Destination Linux. Yeah, I've heard some of them. Been a while though. I don't. If Linux disappeared off the face of the earth, what would you move to? Nothing. I'd become a hermit and wouldn't use computers anymore. Actually, I'd probably just buy a Chromebook and give up. PS Watch Linux Spotlight this week. Rocco has a talk with Mark Shuttleworth. Ooh, that's interesting. Mark doesn't do those very often. You notice that you're seeing a lot of Alan Pope. He started really beefing up his YouTube channel, which I thought was just absolutely great. And now he's doing a lot of stuff in the community. Well, I'm not going to use Windows. Chromebook is so locked down that I don't have to think about it. And that would give me access to the internet so I could talk to people and do what I need and do some of the things I needed to do at least. But that would be it. I'm talking about on my personal machines. I do have a Windows 10 box sitting on my desk, but that's for the radio station. And I don't do anything personal on it at all. I actually boot the thing up, log into the server for the radio station, start the software I need, do what I need to do. And as soon as I'm done and everything is uploaded to the server and I'm done with what I'm down, she goes. And it's not on the local network. So you can't like transfer files back and forth. The only way you can transfer files back and forth is by USB stick. Stick it in here, stick it in there. That's it. Or upload it to, I can upload it to Amazon. I've got some storage on Amazon. Hold on, I saw my tag. Somebody tagged me. What is the worst thing you have done to a computer? Installed Windows on it. I haven't done too many horrible things to computers. Honestly. Oh, well, the worst thing I've done physically to a computer was like I had a computer that messed up on me, and it was a laptop, threw it on the floor and stomped on it. My kids can attest to that. Hi, how are you? Could I please? I don't even know what that is. Do some videos about what is this? Ansible? I don't even know what it is. Sorry for the forehead, gang, but you know, no, I don't even know what that is, gang. Ansible? Is that what you're talking about? What is it? Yeah, if it's server and stuff, you're not going to see videos from me. Somebody said Ansible has something to do with server. You know, hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Thank you for hanging. Thanks for coming by and hanging out. We certainly do appreciate it. I don't do videos that concern server things. I do desktop stuff. That's what I do. I'm not, to be quite frank about it, I'm not interested. It's not. If I've never shot a computer, then you don't know what you're missing. No, I've never done that, but I've seen people do it. Never shot a computer before. I have seen people take hard drives apart, old spinning drives that have multiple platters in them, and roll them across the floor. That I've seen done more than once. Have I tried FreeBSD? A long time ago. Not a fan. Need to be able to. They have a software. I mean, it's like FreeBSD is a niche within a niche. I mean, if you think of the entire Linux and Unix community, they are a niche within a niche. And they don't, I mean, you can't even run Google Chrome. I'm not that esoteric. I don't, I mean, I have nothing against it, but it seems to me that it's like an extra step of being even more niche-y or niche-y than Linux is. And no thanks. What do I think about Mint Debian? I think it's cool. Oh, you're very welcome about the OEM Mint install video. Absolutely. That happened because that computer that I bought from my brother bought it, and he got it, and it had this install on it, and we were just trying to. I'm on the phone, and he lives in another state, and we were just trying to fool around with it, and it was all gornied up. I mean, the drivers weren't installed properly, all kinds of stuff. We ended up just just wiping out the machine. Drilled holes in old hard drives with a drill press. Never done that one. I did have this hard drive that made me mad, and I tossed it across the room. But I'm a throwing thing. I'm a thrower. A bit too heavy for you. Let's see. Oh, I lost you. I'm sorry. You're talking about Linux Mint Debian being too heavy for you. I never used it. You know, I literally booted it up long enough to do the video and got out of it. It's just not my thing. Not my thing, man. Tiling window managers. Well, if it works for you, great. I ain't doing it. Somebody says, what are your thoughts on tiling window managers? No. It was from a computer you got from the hospital. Okay. Cool. Now, tiling window managers. No, that's a level of it. Just don't. I can see from a completely minimalist point of view why somebody would be attracted to that. But then it's this extra level of pain that you have to deal with. Like, you can't just like add something to a menu. You've got to go in and like program XML to make that happen. That's a certain level of nerd. I'm not there. I'm not there at all. It just, no, thank you. I'm lazy. I just want to click. Yeah, well, you know, I could put slow mode on. I knew how. You know, but honestly, I'm just so damn lazy. I don't. Some people just, you know, if your mind works that way, and if you like to live in that level of complexity, and you know, I mean, we're talking about these are people that could write machine language, you know, by hand, just do it. No, I'm not that kind of person. You know, I am not that kind of person, man. So yeah, I had a thought that flew right out of my head. Somebody said something about awesome. I've heard good things about that too, but what about KDE? What's the first program I install on a fresh Linux system? HTOP. Every time. HTOP, and then if it's some distro that I'm playing around with that doesn't ship with it, I use GNOME disks. It's the very next thing that comes on. GNOME disk utility. Why do I install HTOP? Are you asking me? Because it's just can tell me at a glance exactly what the computer is doing, and I like that. Somebody just put KDE. If you didn't see this comment, KDE is the graphical way to make any system a pain in the ass. You bet. Thank you very much. KDE is a breeze. I think the KDE developers actually, they put this ghost in it somehow, or this whatever. And if it likes you, then you're okay. But if it doesn't, you don't. It doesn't. It's like it wants to break. Just wants to break. That's all. It's always been my experience with KDE. Years ago, when they were on KDE 4, I used to rant about it and say it was awful. And then when they moved to 5, I installed it and played with it for a while. I played with KDE Neon for a while. And I thought it was pretty cool, actually. And then I started playing with it. It's like a couple of weeks go by and you get kind of comfortable with it. Then you boot up and all your settings are gone. That's always what happens with me, and I gave up after that and walked away. So, but if I had to use KDE, I don't hate it. I don't hate it anymore. I think it's usable. The main thing that gets me about using any other desktop besides GNOME these days are the keyboard shortcuts. The best desktop ever. I don't know about that. I think they all suck in one way or another, to tell you the truth. I mean, if you really, If you want a controversial thing that you can tweet out about this particular thing, I think all the desktops suck. What is Haiku? What is that supposed? Is that like independent? It's not like trying to be Windows. I think that's what that is, right? I mean, when you're talking about stuff like that, it's academic. This isn't. First of all, I think Haiku has never come out of beta. Second of all, there's no software support for that whatsoever. This isn't practical. It's not something that you can use on a daily basis. You wouldn't sit your grandmother down in front of it and go, "Here you go, Grandma. Here's your computer." You can do that with Linux Mint or Ubuntu or Manjaro. You sure as hell can't do that with something like that. So I'm not interested in those things. You know what I mean? It's based on BOS. Yeah, that's, fun to play with, nice to talk about, practical to use, no way. Check out Cockpit Project for fancy system info and management. I've heard about that. Unity? What about it? Would you like me to comment on Unity? I have things to say about Unity. Subjective question. Okay. Unity was a very good idea. It was very different from what everybody else was doing at the time. There was a lot of thought that went into Unity. And I really liked the keyboard-driven nature of it. I liked the HUD. I liked, there was a lot of things I liked about it. What I didn't like about it was that it was based on Compiz, and Compiz is inherently unstable. And Unity would crash on you in about 2 seconds flat if you clicked the wrong thing the wrong way. And sometimes it would reset itself, and sometimes it wouldn't. What was the first OS I used ever? Commodore 64. I don't know. It's a hard question to answer. Because do you include like playing with computers at school? Because when I was in high school, we had Apple IIs. So at school, I was playing around with Trash 80s and Apple IIs. And then the first computer that I got actually to use was a Commodore 64. So that would have been summer of 84. Yeah. I had one, and a friend of mine had one, and we used to trade games. And his dad had actually sprung to get the floppy drive, and my dad didn't. He bought the computer. See, my dad bought the computer, and he handed it to me. He said, "Here you go, son." And I'm like, "Yeah, I need someplace to store programs." He didn't understand how that worked, So it took me a while to get to a place where I could do anything with it because I had no way to store programs. And he didn't understand why I needed to go out and spend another $100 and whatever dollars it was to get a data set to hook up to the 64. So I used to, once I finally got a data set and got everything hooked up, I sat there and typed programs in from the book, and then would put them on the data set. And I'd go over to my friend's house, and he had diskettes, like I said. And we'd move, I'd copy stuff from diskette to data set and took it back home. And then it was about a year later after I got the Commodore 64 that my brother got a Tandy 1000 running DOS with a hard drive in it and a printer hooked up to it, and that was it. The Commodore 64 went into a box with the data set, and it got put away, and it is still sitting at my mom's house right now. Right now, still there. With the tape, the last tape that I used was in the data set to store programs, still there. And it's been sitting there for, 36 years now. Still there. I want to sell it. No, I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to hang on to it. Hang on to it. I don't even know if the damn thing works. It hasn't been booted in 34 years. 35 years, actually, now. Isn't that insane? It's funny how time flies. It just flies, just goes whoosh, down the road. Let's see here, gang. Oh, we've been going on for a while now. I'm looking at my phone to get the time. This is my house phone for the time. Not a smartphone, just the house phone. So we'll wind it up here in a few minutes unless you guys got some more questions. So I'll be looking for questions. Probably hang around here for another few minutes. Yeah, well, the first 10 minutes I was just like talking to people. So I guess anybody who's watching the video, they're probably going to, surveillance software. I'll tell you this story real quick about Commodore 64. I used to do one-on-one stuff where I help people get going with Linux years ago when I first started out. Does Linux have a place in the public school systems? I wish to God it would. I mean, freaking Chromebooks have taken over. And that's what the kids got. My daughter and son both have Chromebooks that are issued from the school. So, have I tried ZFS on Ubuntu? Yes, I have. Hold on, I'll tell you about ZFS in just a second. What is the best way to convince people to switch to Linux without annoying them? Wait until they're in pain and fix a problem for them. As far as ZFS on Ubuntu, yes, I did try ZFS on Ubuntu. And it's slow. Let's see. One more question went by. Let's see. Hold on just a second here. Why is there no need for antivirus on a Linux distro? It's a very good question. And the answer to that question is that Linux, it fixes vulnerabilities very quickly. Usually by the time that you hear about a vulnerability, the patch is already out. So instead of running some stupid third-party application that sucks up resources on your computer and you're paying for, and mostly is security theater, which wouldn't stop anything anyway, run Linux and keep it updated. Because if you keep it updated, they will make sure that there's not the vulnerabilities that you have with other systems. When am I going to update any of your, terminal software like BU? When it needs to be. I just did a review at the beginning of the year and went through everything, and it all works. And it works on 2004. There's nothing that needs to be changed right now. Everything's doing what it needs to do. I will occasionally go in there and add or take a little tweaky away. So if you follow me on GitHub, you'll see every once in a while I'll add something, then it'll go up another number. So yeah, I mean, you do, and that's the biggest thing when people come to Linux is that they go, "Oh, I need antivirus software, don't I? Where do I get antivirus software? I need to download." You don't need antivirus software on Linux. You'll never need antivirus software on Linux. Don't worry about it. Linux takes care of itself. And it's like somebody said that in some stupid article, somebody said that Linux was the most insecure operating system there is because so many different vulnerabilities were reported last year or something. Obviously, this dumbass doesn't have any clue how this actually works. Yes, a lot of vulnerabilities were reported, and every time they were reported, they were fixed. How many vulnerabilities on Windows are reported and never get damn fixed because Microsoft wants to keep their damn back doors open? See, nobody will address that. We're all supposed to be kumbaya, love Microsoft, everything's fine. They distribute an operating system in which they leave back doors open so that they can have control over their users' computers, and you can't shut those doors. And even if you sit there and you install Linux, Windows, and you say that you want all this off. They don't care. They just turn it on in the background. Read the EULA every now and again on Windows, because it states very clearly that they have the right to modify any software or any data on that computer, including your personal data. They have a right to look at your personal data and everything. That's what you agreed to. That's what Windows is. There you go. So all this kumbaya stuff, come on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get off. Somebody said preach. Okay, I need to shut up now. So, what are my thoughts on rootkits? Well, I haven't seen or heard of anybody getting a rootkit in many, many years. That's not something that you have to worry about too terribly much anymore. Honestly, though, if you are running Windows, that's one of the things that you need to do is just run the Windows Defender. It's as good as any other antivirus software out there for Windows, and it will get those big things like rootkits and gross stuff and crap like that. So let's see. Can't we all get along? Hell no, that's no fun. Absolutely. That's a good one. I got to remember that one. I got to remember that one myself. Let's see here. Any more questions? Because we've been doing this now this is an hour and a half now. We're at an hour and a half, I think. So we're at an hour and about we're about an hour and 25 minutes. So we'll go on for another 5 minutes or so. How's that? So get those questions in now. If you have any more questions, tag me so I see that it's you, okay? That's how we're going to do this. There's one. What do I think about Linux adoption with the current situation? I can tell you that I am getting more messages that come directly to me through the web page than I have gotten in a long, long, long time. Every day when I sit down at to check my email, there's 3 or 4 of them in the morning, and they trickle in during the day. So I think folks are stuck at home. They don't have anything else to do, and they're thinking, oh, well, now's a good time to learn. Because I've talked to a lot of people who have installed Linux and screwed something up or have a question. It's been pretty fruitful. So that's the only indication that I have. I think that Linux is slowly being adopted. I think a lot of folks are seeing it as an alternative these days, and they're coming to it, but it's not an avalanche. I mean, I don't know whether we're ever going to see like the big tipping point and we're going to have the year of the Linux desktop or not. I think it's always going to be just this trickle of people, and it's slowly going to start, keep building, because it's all word of mouth and it's stuff like this. There is no big marketing for Linux. So, what do I think about Fedora and using what? Hold on. What do I think about Fedora? Jeez Louise, I lost you. What do I think about? I don't know. Fedora is what it has always been, and that is it's a beta for Red Hat. It's a testing ground for Red Hat. I'm not a big fan of Fedora. I don't use it. I know people do. And if it works for you, that's fantastic, but it's just not my thing. I do use CentOS. What do I think about, okay. Yeah. Security in Windows is a bad joke. Mostly it's security theater. See, people go out and then they get like something like, McCrappy, McAfee or whatever the hell is out there these days. I don't even know because I don't pay that much attention. And, it puts a icon on the screen and it jumps up and it makes a lot of noise. It's really not doing anything. The experts say that 20% of antivirus actually finds a virus. Or it's like 20% of the viruses are found by antivirus. And what is the most? When's the next live stream? I don't know. I might do one next week. We're going to see. You need beer for this. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't been. Yeah. Oh God, we got 180 people here. Wow. That's amazing. 190 something people. It just jumped. Wow. Now we're up to 195. Let's see. Uh-oh. I'm reading comments here, gang. I haven't messed with Linux Lite in a long time. And I'll tell you why. Because it got to a place where when it first came along, it was really designed to run on. It was 200 earlier. Really? Damn, I didn't see that. Anyway, Linux Lite was designed to run on 32-bit machines. When it first came along, it was 700 megabytes or less for the ISO. You could put it on a CD because some of those old machines, they won't boot from USB. You can't put a DVD in them, and the only thing they got is a CD-ROM, right? So you have to be able to boot from the CD. And when they were in those days, I think that they had more. I don't know. I don't want to use the word credibility, but now it just seems to be a bit redundant to me. And so I have not looked at the distro in a long time, to tell you the truth. But back when they were doing that, say hi to Chicago. Hello, Chicago. Chicago. I can't believe how many people are here. Wow. Somebody said it went as high as 225. That's awesome, I was watching a live stream from Alton Brown not too long ago, and he had 10,000 people at 45 minutes in, which was just wow. Let's see. Do you think people ought to avoid NVIDIA cards? I was having this same conversation the other day with Jeremy O'Connell, and it seems to me that there's problems with all of the cards out there right now to some extent. So it's whatever works good for you. I have gotten, talking about video cards, I have mostly NVIDIA graphics. And they have their bugaboos. Like I said, earlier in the video, if you're going to run XFCE, if you're going to run the Mate desktop or any lightweight desktop, you're going to have to make sure that you put a script in the startup applications to set the setting that turns on the compositor. Because if you don't, then you're going to get screen tearing. And I just, and they have the NVIDIA software that loads, and supposedly you're supposed to go and set the settings. I never can get it to stick. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, so that's why I just go ahead and put the hack in there. So just look for screen tearing fix with XFCE if that's the case. My opinion on Purism OS, Snowden supposedly is it don't care. Honestly, more off in the corner niche stuff is Purism is supposed to be completely 100% free, which I think is a noble pursuit, but I also think it's a waste of time because I'm very pragmatic about this, guys. Look, I would like to see more open source solutions on everything, but at the same time, if the solution is proprietary and as long as it's not too egregious, I will go for it. Is installing Linux on a Mac a lot different than a PC? Yes. It is a completely different procedure, and it rarely works. As a matter of fact, I heard recently that these days that Alan Pope is for the desktop at Ubuntu. His new job, they required him to have a Mac, and he tried to install Linux on it and couldn't get it to work. Now, if Will Cook can't get it to work, I can't get it to work. I can tell you that right now. Older Mac hardware is easy, but I don't know how well it works. So let's see. I think I'm going to do like one more question, man, and then we're going to hang this up. This has been fun. It went by quick. It goes by so quick. I'm definitely not as you got Arch running on a Mac. That's cool. Write a tutorial, man. Put it out there. Oh, Manjaro? Okay, well, that's fine. It's half dozen of one, six of the other. So somebody ask one more question so we can have the big finale. Ubuntu 1804. All right. Okay, here we go. If building a system, do you recommend Ryzen or Intel? Ask John Spoonamore. He's here. He knows more about that than I do. He does more playing with it. It does go fast, doesn't it, bro? Thank you, gang. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just go ahead and shut it down here right now. Thank you very much to everybody who has come along. Let's see. Okay, one more. Any videos on Raspberry Pis in your future? No, I don't play with them. And that's not my thing. Not my thing, man. No puppy Linux neither. I'm Ubuntu Linux Mint focused, gang. I tend to try and kind of stick in that lane because it gets confusing if I start doing a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, I wanted to say a couple of things before. One more. Thank you very much. Thank you for hanging out. This, of course, will turn into a video. Everybody knows that. So if you liked what you saw during the chat, share the video. I appreciate it. Also, I'm gonna try here. Let me go off and figure out whether I can do this again on a weekly basis. We will do it again soon. This is probably the way they're going to look. So if anybody out there is like, well, we should get a better setup or whatever. First of all, those kind of comments are just going to get deleted. Okay. I don't want to hear it. And no, the other thing is that we'll see if I'm going to be able to do this. Let's just put it that way. I wanted to say, everybody stay safe, stay home, keep your head low, stay out of trouble. Don't get sick. And we're going to get through this thing together. So thank you guys for hanging out. I certainly do appreciate it. Don't forget the radio show. I mentioned it last time. Got a little bump on the stream. So I know some folks were checking it out. B999fm.com. Monday through Friday in the evening, 7 to midnight. So I know some of you guys were checking that out. B999fm.com. Listen live. It's not on demand. You know what I mean? So, okay, one more. I see somebody. We love you. I love you too. Thank you very much, gang. We'll do it again soon. Thanks for watching. I'm out of here. Go ahead and end the program. And then it asked me, are you really sure you want to end? And I go, yes, I want to end. Bye, Sickle.